Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this session on pollination. I'm Josette Lewis, the Chief Scientific Officer for the Almond Board, so I oversee our broad research programs. But this morning, I'm talking to you as the point person on pollination. I'm joined today by two valuable partners of the almond industry. You cannot see them, but they're standing by, ready to address any questions you might have during the course of this session. Billy Sink is with Project Apis M and runs their Seeds for Bees cover crop program. And Miles Dakin from Pollinator Partnership works with growers to participate in their bee-friendly farming certification program. Both of these we'll talk about during the session, and I encourage you to ask questions by using the chat function. Now on to pollination. I think all of us would agree it's been a year full of surprises and challenges. But if we think all the way back to February, we actually started off our almond year with a spectacular bloom. This data shows, courtesy of Blue Diamond, compares the 2020 bloom on top with that in 2011 in the lower graph. What you can see on the top is that consistently dry and warm weather created ideal conditions for almond pollination. We had a very compact bloom, so it was continuous and compact, showing by the vertical blue bars on the top graph. And we had a very high number of bee flight hours. Great weather means that bees could fly for long hours and do their work pollinating almond blossoms. This year is a good reminder of how valuable bees are to achieving high yields in almonds. That investment you make in pollination is indeed a significant one. As this graph shows, pollination now accounts for 15 to 20% of the annual cost of almond production. That steep rise that you see in the graph is due to the rising demand caused by expanding almond acreage. To see if we can reduce that cost, this year the Almond Board initiated new research to reevaluate stocking rates for almonds. Current guidance is 12 to 16 frames of bees per acre. We often think of that as 2 strong hives per acre. This new research will look at both conventional and self-compatible varieties to see if we can get consistent high yields with fewer bees. It'll take several years to get data that's robust enough and from across the different growing regions over several years. But I do look forward to keeping you informed as that research progresses. In the meantime, I wanted to share several steps that you can take to get the most from your pollination investment. First is to follow the Almond Board's Bee Best Management Practices. You can find a copy of these on our website, almonds.com. Or if you participate in any Almond Board events, we usually distribute hard copies for free. Today, I wanted to really highlight a few key practices based on recent research. The first is that tank mixing insecticides and fungicides has been shown to harm bees, even if the individual chemicals do not. So insecticides should not be applied during bloom time, and avoid tank mixing different pesticides. When fungicides are needed, we encourage you to apply them late in the afternoon or evening when bees are not present. This is a very easy way to get both effective control of fungal disease during bloom and to keep bees safe and healthy. It should be standard practice for all of us in the industry. Lastly, there's increasing evidence that some adjuvants can harm bee health. So we recommend that you do not add an adjuvant unless it's specifically called for on the label. Keeping bees safe when they're in our orchard helps you get the most from pollination. It's also critical to defending our market for almonds. Unfortunately, almonds are often linked in the press with all the challenges that honeybees face. And while we have a robust program to correct misinformation, following the Bee Best Management Practices is the most essential way for us to demonstrate we are responsible in the practices and how we grow almonds. Next, I encourage you to consider if a pollinator cover crop can work for you. ABC-funded research shows that cover crops do not compete with almond blossoms for bee visitation. In fact, other research shows that competition between honeybees and native bees, who are lured by flowering plants, can improve pollination. And new ABC-funded research shows that hives are healthier coming out of almonds when there is a cover crop. Lastly, cover crops may be an incentive for beekeepers, strengthening your relationship with the best beekeepers in an increasingly competitive market for strong hives. With the cover crop, beekeepers will know their hives have access to nutrition after the almond bloom fades and before they come to pick them up. Beyond pollination, cover crops have other benefits. They can help reduce soil compaction, allowing tree roots to breathe, and improve soil water holding capacity, both of which can help you get the best yield from your trees. We recognize that trying something new comes with risks. So to help with that, the Almond Board this year offered an incentive we called the B+ Scholarship, provided up to $2,000 of free cover crop seed from Project APSM's Seeds for Bees, or covered the registration for the bee-friendly farming certification from Pollinator Partnership. Bee-friendly farming allows you to use the BFF logo in your marketing, getting credit for your investment in pollinator forage and habitat, along with the use of good IPM practices. For growers who participate in the California Almond Sustainability Program, or CASP, we've streamlined the bee-friendly farming application process through the CASP modules. While the Seeds for Bees cover crop application has now completed for this year, registration for bee-friendly farming is available all year round. So I encourage you to look at these programs now and consider if they might fit with your operation next year. To learn more about Seeds for Bees and bee-friendly farming, particularly to hear from other growers, almond growers' experiences, stay tuned. We have 2 short videos to follow. And a reminder that representatives from both programs are online right now to answer any questions you have. Just type them into the chat function there on your screen. So I hope you'll stay with us to watch these 2 short videos. And thank you again for joining us. Hope you enjoy the rest of the Almond Conference.
Every year in late January and early February, the world's largest pollination migration takes place as 2 million hives of honeybees are moved to California to pollinate 1 million acres of almond trees, which helps generate an $11 billion industry and over 80% of the world's almonds.
The best way to describe bees, honeybees, and almonds and the way they interact with each other is as 2 very large industries that need the world's largest pollination migration to happen.
The biggest pollination event in the world is California almonds, and that happens very early in the year. So in January and February, those beekeepers need to have the bees placed in the almonds, where they need 2 million colonies to pollinate all of those almond orchards.
Project APSM's program, Seeds for Bees, works with almond growers and landowners in California to plant forage crops in and around almonds, which supports the health of these pollinating honeybees, provides benefits to almond growers, and promotes good stewardship of the land.
Seeds for Bees is a program that is critical to the almond grower and the beekeeper because it is providing forage, which is a food for bees, and it's doing this by planting cover crops in or around the orchards, and it provides food for bees when they need it the most, when they're at their hungriest.
Seeds for Bees seed mixes include the Pam mustard mix, Pam clover mix, and a vetch option.
The mustard varieties, along with giving the bees some early nutrition, it also gets the bees excited so that when the almonds do bloom, they're ready to attack those blossoms basically and get after pollinating them.
The other benefit of the mustard mix, there's a radish blend in there that helped penetrate the soil. We have pretty heavy soils here in Arbuckle, and so we get a lot of soil cracking as the summer goes on and it dries out, and so this is helping break up that soil and adding organic matter deep into the soil.
Each mix is designed to offer specific benefits to honeybees and growers based on the grower's needs. The seeds and technical assistance that Seeds for Bees provides gives honeybees the critical nutrition they need in order to thrive leading up to and following the almond bloom.
We have an orchard over by Woodland, and they planted a Seeds for Bees mix prior to the almond bloom. When our bees arrived, blossoms were up and the bees had something to forage on before the bloom began. It was like jump-starting the hive prior to the almond bloom. Well, this is smart farming.
The plants and seeds for bees seed mixtures work to increase organic matter, prevent erosion, increase water infiltration, increase nitrogen, suppress weeds, decompose mummy nuts, and attract beneficial insects, providing additional benefits to growers. There are often questions about seeds for bees cover crops competing with the almond bloom, but studies have shown that this is not the case.
Just visually as a grower walking through the orchard during bloom time, I see a lot of bee activity throughout the cover crop and in the trees.
Another concern of growers is frost in the orchards during bloom, which can easily be managed with good practices, mowing when necessary. Seeds for bees cover crops support a healthy environment by providing habitat for other beneficial insects and pollinators, reducing pesticide use and runoff, retaining water, and improving soil health.
We definitely saw a difference in where we had cover crops versus where we did not during the wet spring. And where we actually had cover crop, we were losing less soil because of the roots and holding on to that soil.
Project Apis M has designed Seeds for Bees to be a simple process by giving almond producers an easy way to practice better sustainability and stewardship of the land.
Compared to other programs, it is much easier. With Apis M, it was a simple phone call, and within a few weeks we had the seed.
A lot of times with different cost-sharing opportunities, growers get bogged down by cropping history and digging through old files about finances and different personal information. We don't ask for any of that, and you have to be a grower in California of almonds that really wants to help out their soil and bees.
We believe that putting forage back in the agricultural landscape is an important part of sustainability, and Seeds for Bees is a great way to integrate these benefits into almond growing practices. Learn how you can participate and support Seeds for Bees by visiting projectapism.org.
So as almond growers, we have the opportunity to create our own destiny in a world where people care more about where their food comes from and how they grow it. And the best thing we can do is actually support our beekeepers and honeybees and native pollinators. And to do that, we all should be planting cover crops.
Bee-friendly farming is a program that works with farmers to protect, preserve, and promote pollinator health. It also works to balance the crop production and the health of pollinators.
So almonds is probably the best plant-based protein that anybody can eat. And really, we need the bees. We need the honeybees to actually pollinate it and provide that to the world. And besides bees, what's good for bees is good for butterflies, and what's good for butterflies is good for ladybugs.
Almond blossoms are incredibly attractive to honeybees, and they're also incredibly nutritious for honeybees. But adding a cover crop provides more diverse nutrition and more lures into the orchard to keep the honeybees here and get the most return on investment from your pollination dollars.
By becoming a certified bee-friendly farmer, you're going to be promoting healthy pollinators and also abundant food supplies.
Being certified is a way for an almond grower to get recognition for the good work that they do in terms of how they manage their orchard. So it's a way to get recognition at the consumer level. You can put the bee-friendly farming logo on your farm and on your product. And a great way to add value at the marketplace for the value that you add for bees on your farm.
You'll be joining 800 other farms that have already certified and are a network of essential sustainable agriculture.
There have been some other great benefits to growing the forage also, though. The clover, of course, is nitrogen fixing and is adding to the soil health. And I've actually found that they suppress a lot of the problematic weeds in the orchard that I've been dealing with over the years.
It's also a really great choice if you're worried about frost or biomass during harvest, because it's really easy to manage. It doesn't get as big as other cover crops. But it still has all the great benefits, such as increasing the organic matter of your soils and outcompeting weeds and giving habitat for beneficial insects.
An important part of the Bee Friendly Farming program is that the practices that we promote are like a checklist for sustainable farming. They really will make a difference, not just for the pollinators, but for your farm.
So the practices that are required to become a bee-friendly farm are right in line with the practices that we promote through the California Almond Sustainability Program and through our Orchard 2025 goals. So there's great alignment.
CAST can give you many of the tools that you need to check the boxes and to become a bee-friendly farmer.
So we've been working with the Pollinator Partnership to define very specifically which CASP questions that growers can assess their practice and how those line up, so that if you've answered these questions, the idea is that you will then be fully able to certify as a bee-friendly farm.
The criteria to become a bee-friendly farmer includes: offer forage providing good nutrition for bees on at least 3% of the land. Forage can be temporary, including crops and cover crops. Provide bloom of different flowering plants throughout the growing season, especially in early spring and late autumn. There is no minimum land coverage for seasonal bloom. Offer clean water for bees. This could be from irrigation canals and pumps, natural water elements, or a provision of supplementary water sources. Provide habitat for nesting through features such as hedgerows, natural brush, or buffer strips. Practice integrated pest management. Reduce or eliminate the use of chemicals. A good example of this is following ABC's BMPs. Pay the annual $45 certification fee. Complete the compliance form once every 3 years.
I know it can be daunting to think about all these different practices, but really there's an easy way to fit it into your program and make it personalized for you, and I think you'll see a lot of great benefits.